A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our listeners joining in from across the globe. My name is Dr. Ritvik Mishra. I'm the Chief Client Officer at Knowlescape and your host for this edition of The Learning Curve. Now, for those of you who've been following us, you know that at The Learning Curve, we discuss the process and the concepts behind humanizing, personalizing, and futurizing the work, worker, and the workplace with our guests. Now, in a world that is increasingly getting described by several adjectives like uncertain, anxious, incomprehensible, ambiguous, how do we actually prepare leaders that are able to lead organizations and people while being deeply connected in the work and with the workforce? We have the absolute honor and privilege of having a guest that has actually been doing that for the last 50 years. From boardrooms at Unilever and Tata Sons to classroom at IIT Kharagpur to the 20 books on leadership and transformation, he has guided companies to rise and reinvent themselves. Please join me in welcoming R. Gopalakrishnan, one of India's most respected voices on leadership, business transformation, and human-centered growth. We will explore with him how leaders can navigate the delicate balance of technology, trust, and talent. Gopal, a very warm welcome to you to the Learning Curve.
Thank you very much. You've been more than generous in your introduction. I hope I live up to it.
Oh, absolutely. Gopal, we are all waiting to hear your insights and thoughts on the 50 years of experience and also the books that you've written and the immense amount of research that might have gone behind those books. So we are very eagerly looking forward to this conversation. Gopal, before we move into the business end of the questions, we do have a rapid fire section for you that just helps us to get to know you a little better. So if you're ready for that, we can get started with it.
Sure. Go ahead.
All right. So the number one question is one technology that you're most excited about and one that you're very cautious of.
Do you want to mention two separate ones? Because I can be excited about one, but I'm also the most cautious about it.
Yes,
which is artificial intelligence. Everybody would say so nowadays.
Absolutely.
I was most excited about computers earlier when I began my career as a young systems analyst. But right now, you can't help being excited by AI, but you can't help being cautious by it either.
Absolutely. There are just some very disturbing news that's also coming out in terms of how people are getting a lot dependent on AI from a emotional perspective and then taking extreme steps as well. So you absolutely have right that we have to be very cautious of that. And you rightly said, Gopal, it's all started with computers, and somewhere in between the mobile phone came in, the smartphone, and we were very excited about that. But we now know its impact to the next generation that's coming up with the screen time and the dependency on the information that it produces. So absolutely agree. AI, both excited and cautious about. Next question, Gopal, which of the 20 books that you have written was the hardest to write and why?
In general, the most difficult to write for me was a comma in a sentence. And a comma in a sentence is not about management. It is not about life. It is not about human intuition, which are the theme of many of my other books.
Right.
But it's tracing my family back to 1823, to a small village in Tamil Nadu.
Oh, wow.
Which had a population of 3,000 around 1900, and it's still got a population of 3,000. And I did a lot of anecdotal research, talking to relations before God called them, and wrote that book like a story so that my grandchildren can read and know where they came from. It's called a comma in a sentence because at one stage in the family's development, one person changes the position of the comma and the meaning of the sentence changes completely.
Yes.
That's why it's called a comma in a sentence from 1823 to now.
Wow. That's just beautiful. And I'm sure that it's probably one of the most rewarding books as well for you to personally, see how the lineage has come about and how generations have moved the families forward.
My grandchildren are here right now and they don't believe that people moved around by bullock cart.
Yeah.
I mean, it's completely unbelievable for them. And there was no telephone. So we all have the same experience. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. When you speak to, I have my mother living with us, and she has traveled on palkis and then to the plains. And so the amount of difference that they have seen in the way the world has evolved is just tremendous, especially for your generation and the generations before. It's just a lot of change that has happened in the last 50, 60 years. Your go to stress buster after a long day of advising, teaching, or writing?
Exercise.
Nice. Okay. Any particular exercise that you prefer?
I do some yoga. I play tennis. I play golf. I swim. I walk. And I follow the 3-2-1 formula. 3 days tennis, 2 days either golf or swimming, and 1 day walking, and 1 day is optional. So 3-2-1 exercise, it's my stress buster. Even when I travel abroad, as soon as I get off the plane and get to my hotel, if I get a chance, I have 4 swimming costumes in 4 different suitcases. I'm always there for a swim if there is a heated pool.
Nice, nice. And I think that's a great takeaway, because a lot of us are in this rush, and we have official trips, we have vacations, we have so much work that takes us into the long evenings. And so we use that as an excuse, saying, I don't have time. How important and critical it is for leaders to know who they are, and how do they lead, how do they connect, how do they humanize, personalize, and futurize the workplace. So, and I think that helps then cover any gaps coming up.
Of course, but that's meant for the Jedi's.
You may want to share that story, Gopal, at this point, because I'm sure that our listeners haven't understood that acronym. But please go ahead. That was a lovely anecdote at the beginning.
Well, it's a story that goes back 55 years. I'm a freshly minted engineer from IIT. I joined Hindustan Lever as a computer analyst, and they said I should get grassroots training. So they sent me to work in the field. And there was at that time, 58, 59-year-old, he must be dead and gone now, a Punjabi gentleman who had come up the rough way, the tough way. And he just couldn't believe that a guy with a degree in electronics and who's carrying a slide rule around would deign to go and sell dalda and rin bar in Jalandhar and Amritsar.
Right.
So he asked me a number of questions to dissuade me. And finally he said, हमारे पंजाब में कहते हैं कि तुम लोग जैसे आदमी जेड आई हो. To which, of course, I was further nonplussed. And he said, ये जरूरत से ज़्यादा intelligent. So I think that's the reference Ritik is making, that very often we need to be more intelligent. There's no doubt about it. After all, artificial intelligence is all about that. But other people may perceive you as Jedi.
Your favorite place to think, write, or think deeply or write?
I have a little home in the Nilgiris.
Oh, nice.
That I built not to write, think, but I've used it for that purpose. As I learned how to think deeply and write in the last several decades. And it's a real refuge for me. I go there and I'm able to sit down. I think all my 20 books were written in part in a building which we also, my wife and I, have named Om, which sort of also sort of culturally brings out, it's a place for reflection and thinking. That's where I think about self-awareness. If I think
that's
about
where
it,
you become Jedi. You're one of the few authors I've met who've written that many books, but I also hear about this writer's block. Have you ever had writer's block, and how did you overcome that?
You know, I've never experienced that writer's block, because I write only when I don't have a block. If you say Bombay is full of traffic jam, then I say, no, I go early in the morning to Santa Cruz, and from Santa Cruz, I return late in the night to beat the traffic. And you say, have you had experience of dense traffic? And I say, no, because I leave at 6 o'clock in the morning and I come back at 10 o'clock in the night. So I am constantly dreaming and thinking in my head. And when I feel aroused intellectually, then मेरे पास कुछ कहने की है, then I sit down to write.
Right.
Mind you, I don't want to give the impression that I'm some perfect machine. There are occasions,
Sure.
but I've not experienced the words used by some very well-known authors that they had to write 10 drafts, tear it up, throw it away, and chew their pencil till they couldn't have lunch anymore. None of those sort of things.
Right. Right.
I'm an ordinary writer trying to write ordinary things. And I am able to work with that.
That's beautiful, Gopal. I think the message there is you're writing from your heart. You're writing when you think you should be writing, and then because of that, it just flows from there. Do well as a professional, you have to create your legacy, and for that you need to think. So, any thoughts on how were you doing this at that stage in your career, or how can people in places where they say I don't have time can take out time to create this thinking space?
I don't know. Maybe my training in physics caused me to think in a particular way. I'm just guessing. But I used to think when I was 14 or 12 or whatever that iron is solid. It doesn't have any space. It's heavy. Wood is light. It has lots of space. It can absorb water. But as I studied atomic physics in my degree course, I realized everything is khula hai. They're all empty spaces. Because you say, what's in an atom? You say what's in a molecule? There are atoms. What's inside the atom? There are electrons. What's inside the electron? There are quarks. And what's inside a quark? We don't know yet.
Right.
So there's a reductionist process by which you realize that just like the antariksh, space, is a huge, vast blackness. We think the earth is very big. We think our city is big. Our home is big. But it doesn't count. And that's the same thing with the human mind, human body, the capacities.
Right.
So you can fill it up with a lot of things if you know, or you can engineer them in many ways. But I find Vedic wisdom to be very good. I'm not a proponent of the theory that everything was known to Indians 5,000 years ago.
Right. Right.
But when I look at Vedic wisdom,
right.
It says exactly that. So if you look at Swami Vivekananda or Ramakrishna Paramahamsa or Shankaracharya, they had all reached that fourth stage.
Right.
Guys like me will never get to the fourth stage, but it's nice to know there is a fourth stage.
There is a fourth stage. Yeah, yeah.
If you can do reasonably well up to the third stage, you're okay. So you realize you're a small speck in everything else.
Yeah.
And then you suddenly find energy release, time is available, and your whole attitude.
Right.
You enjoy that moment. It's called mindfulness in the jargon now.
Right. Right.
My grandchildren are here. After I finish with you, they'll come for half an hour. That half an hour will look like 2 hours for me.
True.
Then I'll pack them off because
Right.
they'll go to do their own things. And they're out of my mind, and I'm writing an article or paper or having another whatever.
Right.
So this ability to live in the present totally and yet be ready to transit to the huge antariksh that is around the present is what creates time.
Right. I'm going to move us to the next question we had, Gopal, which is reflecting back on a book that you wrote, Embrace the Future. The soft science of business transformation. You argue that companies that fail to adapt are destined to perish. What are the soft factors beyond technology and business strategy, etc., that organizations overlook when they are trying to futurize?
It's very much, if I use metaphorically, like human health. When you're 20, you can lead a certain type of lifestyle. At 30, you realize I'm still young, but I'm not like when I was 20.
Right.
And so on every decade. And some people think that age is only a number. And I'm 55, I can still do what I was doing at 20. Good luck to them. But I think your body and your mind and your environment, your vatavaran, as my Hindi teacher used to tell me, are constantly giving you messages.
Right.
The same thing happens to a company. So when I was in Hindustan Lever, just I'm taking that as a practical example so that it doesn't look
Sure.
up in the air thing. Or I'll even come to Tata's in a moment. The best known products of Hindustan Lever when I joined was Sunlight and Lifebuoy soap. You know, Lifebuoy had this Samson
Yeah.
guy, Mota Tagda,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Sunlight had this Aditya
Right.
symbol, which will wash your clothes white. But then a number of factors, and I don't want to go into the history of Hindustan Lever, told you that this type of soap is going to be dead. It's a question of whether it's 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. And the company started adapting to synthetic powders. That's how Surf was launched in 1957 or 58.
Right.
Its sales were very, very minuscule. It probably made a loss. I wasn't around. Then I remember I started my career telling people how to use a powder because the average person said, "Saab, isse kaise dhulega? Hum to bhatti mein marte hain."
Right.
You know, such an earthy sort of wisdom. And my early training, Jedi, was to bring a plastic bucket, put some surf into it, and tell people would say, "Saab, isme itna jhaag kaise nikla?" I would tell people to take off their banyan
Right.
and wash it in front of them. And निचोड़ के you'll find they said, ये कैसे हुआ? इसको तो भट्टी पे लगाया ही नहीं. वहां से शुरू करके
Right.
remove. And so on and so forth. There are many, many such little episodes that come to my mind.
Be vulnerable. How do you accept that things are changing in the environment or the vatavaran, as you're saying, and then be able to adapt to that. But on the flip side, if the humans that are at the helm of things in an organization are not willing to change or see those,
Then you get stasis.
Exactly.
I want to give you, it's not an example, but it's a little story.
Yeah, please.
But a true story. All my stories are not are true. So I came back from being chairman of Unilever Arabia, and I was posted as managing director of Brook Pond Lipton.
Right.
This is 1995. And Brook Pond Lipton was the biggest food company in India at that time.
Right.
And had made 8 acquisitions within 2-3 years. So Brook Bond acquired Lipton,
Okay.
merged. Then Brook Bond acquired 2 tea estates, Dumduma and tea estates.
Okay.
Then they acquired Kisan.
Okay.
Then they acquired Quality. Then they acquired Milk Food in Punjab.
Okay.
Then Zahura tomato paste factory in Pepsi Cola's factory. So when I arrived, I found इसमें हजमी में कुछ तकलीफ है. Because 9 acquisitions in 2-3 years. When the financial guys would say, well, we did PE ratio, this, that, it all looks pretty simple. But when you go out there, guys are saying, साहब हम तो किसान वाले हैं, हमारा ऐसा ही रीत रिवाज है. So there was a Diwali Mela.
Right.
And I must have been in a thinking mood at that time. There was a stall put up by one of our accounts clerks who was doing palmistry. You came, gave $10, and he said, your son will become very big. So I gave him $10, and I said, if I give you the horoscope of a person, he said, just give me birth date, time of birth, I can figure out.
Right.
So I went back to my office and found Brook Bond India, which was the parent company to which everything had merged, was born on 26 September 1912.
Okay.
I remember the date because it's 9 days after my father's birth,
Right.
And I came back and gave him the date of birth. He said, what's the time? I said, yeah, British days, 12 baje hoga, September, October, 12 baje likh lo.
Right.
He came out with a horoscope
Okay.
for the company. And one of the things he said in the company is, this person has been eminently successful for a long time,
Right.
Brook Bond, but this person has started marrying other people and giving his name to them. So it's acting like a man. but he's not happy. But somewhere in the future, it will marry somebody else, but take that person's name. It will act like a woman. It is time for this person to act like a woman.
Wow.
And as it so happened, not because of his prediction, but because of other reasons, Rupon Lipton merged into Hindustan Lever.
Wow, that's an amazing story, Gopal. Thank you so much for sharing that.
So, these are intuitive. Now, people accuse me that, oh, you're spreading faith in astrology. I'm not spreading faith. I'm saying all of us have these experiences.
Right.
All of us have. People say, you mean you believe in astrology? I said, listen, would you agree if somebody came and said to you, don't get your daughter married on 14th of October, let it be after 20th? I have not met a single individual of any religion or caste.
Right.
Not that I've checked with everybody. He would say, मैं तो उसका कदर करूंगा.
बिल्कुल.
मुझे उसपे कोई, it's a negative thing.
Right.
I don't believe in it. But the fact of the matter is, we realize there are other factors around us.
Right.
And embrace the future doesn't tell you all this philosophy and these stories. But when I talk to people about the book, I say you have to understand that this whole management technique is part of the human knowledge system.
Correct.
It's a very tiny part
Correct.
of what the human mind actually knows.
Correct.
And if you're not humble about it, I'm afraid it's going to be very tough for you as a leader.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest mindset barriers that you have seen that leaders face in preparing for the unknown future?
I think the feeling that I am fully aware of what's going to come in the future and I'm prepared for it.
Yeah.
It's much like human beings.
Yeah.
If you go and talk to 100 people at random who are, say, in the age group of 40 to 50,
Yeah.
and they don't know, भाई भविष्य में क्या होने वाला है मुझे पता नहीं है, बट मैंने इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी ले लिया, बच्चों का स्कूल के लिए पैसे रख दिया.
Right.
You come down to those sorts of things, which are of course important. When I began my career, which I agree is quite some time back, but in the history of mankind, 50 years is neither here nor there. Every Saturday I used to go to the bank to get my passbook updated.
Right. Right.
It was a physical visit,
Right.
standing in a queue, waiting for that guy with the ball pen to write numbers, adding up wrong, then you check his addition. Now my kids just don't believe that that was the case.
Correct. Correct.
Right? So I couldn't imagine that there will be a day when I don't have to go to the bank at all.
Correct. Imagine that. Yeah.
If I tell you 20 years from now, things that you took for granted, people will not have laptops anymore. They will look at your face, look at your hearing aid, and
Yeah.
communicate.
Correct. Correct.
You don't know how to respond to it.
Correct.
So engage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I'm trying to do, even though I am pushing 80, is engage. Keep engaged.
Yeah. How can organizations personalize leadership and career growth for their people while maintaining scale and efficiency and growth?
Scale and efficiency come at a later stage after innovation. I have to make the better mousetrap first in a laboratory before I can sell 1 million mousetraps and claim I want market share of 50%.
True.
When if you start looking for, it's like a 3-year-old child. If you say, I want you to win Wimbledon. There are people running courses, when your child at 5 will be quoting Shakespeare. When your child if you want your child at 7 to understand Ramanujan mathematics, here is a,
Right.
Those are all, according to me at least, crazy schemes. Why should your child at 7 understand Ramanujan mathematics? Nobody told Ramanujan.
Right. Neither did he say that.
From inside. Neither did he say that. And Tata's does this just like an Indian joint family.
Right.
The parent is private.
Right.
Very few companies have a private parent.
Right.
So the grandfather, grandmother or great grandfather, great grandmother, वो घर में बैठ के अपना काम देखते हैं, पूजा पाठ करते हैं.
Right.
Metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the eldest son is called Tata Steel. उसके 2-4 बच्चे हैं. The second eldest is somebody. Air India was a beautiful little girl in the family until somebody abducted her and took her away.
And then returned.
Brought her back when she was 80 years old. क्या आपकी बेटी है, ले लो. Right or wrong, we took back, say, हाँ कि है तो हमारी बेटी.
Bilkul.
But you can't make your 80-year-old beti into your 16-year-old daughter.
Right.
You go through all the pangs of weight loss,
Right.
beautification, wrinkle lining, and that's going on right now. So I'm a great believer in using the Indian family nomenclature. And yet, every son goes out and says, मैं ये business करना चाहता हूँ.
Right.
If he succeeds, very good.
Right.
If he doesn't succeed, bad luck, try something else. And that's what happens in Tatas. So I think this is how you can allow. Now we are getting into electronics. If Jamshedji Tata came back from his grave, he'd say, what is all this funny business of putting and making a phone that big? What is a phone anyway?
True.
So you're allowing that to happen while your steel plant in a blast furnace are blasting and blasting
Right.
to save another 0.1 calories per ton of steel. And though both have, you have to find a way.
Right. Right. Both have to coexist. One other question is, what lessons from your time with Tata and Unilever stand out about building cultures? And I think all that we have spoken so far is moving us towards culture, organizational culture, where people feel valued, heard, especially even with rapid changes happening all around us.
There's only one lesson I have learned.
Yeah.
There are probably 100 lessons I can talk about, but we must bring this to a conclusion also shortly.
Yeah.
And the one lesson is, whatever you try, when written on paper, it will look pedestrian. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try it.
Mm-hmm.
So you may call it feedback system, you may call it open session, you may call it bulletins, you may call it CEO's address, you may think of it as a combination.
Right.
But since you use the word culture, I must emphasize one aspect which has not got enough focus, which is the importance of rituals.
Yeah.
No consultant talks about it, no Western book will talk about it.
Right.
Now, you and I are not experts on the philosophical significance of Deepavali or Ganesh Utsav or,
Right.
Holi.
Right.
We have some vague stories in our head. Oh, Holika came, somebody went and killed, or Rang Bijaya. That sort of story. How did you learn that story? Was it one of your subjects in school? No.
Passed down.
Granny put you on the lap.
Correct.
And when you were 7-8 years old, they said, Beta, jaldi se kapde badal ke aao. And then you would ask a silly question, they would give you a serious answer. A few things have stayed in your head. And you try to do the same with your children. I call this rituals.
Right.
They say, नए घर में गए हैं, अच्छा देखो, पंचांग देखो. You may or not believe in panchang, but it becomes a habit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you grown up and become 40, you say, आज बेजी का, my son has been born. देख पंचांग देखिए, उसका एक नामकरण करेंगे.
Right.
Even if you don't understand. I have done the thread ceremony for all my grandchildren.
Right.
Though I said it's my satisfaction.
Right.
But that's caused them to ask. So I call these rituals of learning. These are lost in modern learning. Tatas and levers are very good at this. I'll keep to Tatas.
Sure.
देखिए, Tatas have about 1 million people work in Tata.
Right.
And about, if you add the people who are recent alumni, last 5 years, it will become 3 million, 4 million. And if you multiply it by their families, we are talking of almost 14, 15 million people who are Tata connected in some way.
Related. Yeah.
I still meet people who say, Jamshedpur mein paidaish hui thi, main Jamshedpur mein tha. 15 million people can tell you what is the birthday of Jamshedji Tata. What did Jamshedji Tata stand for?
Right.
Mota moti.
Right.
Much like you and I can give a rough story of Holi.
Right.
But we can't be a pravachan. You can't do a pravachan.
Absolutely.
Now, Tata has many rituals. which look very pedantic, but it builds a culture. And I think the importance of rituals and culture, I've covered that in this book on Jamshedji Tata that I've written.
Okay.
Which is the most recent book, saying this is a very Eastern way of building a company. Indian way, Eastern way, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
It's not eulogizing Lalaji.
Right.
Because you've been around for so long. It's eulogizing non-Lalajis, but who are effective leaders. Like Sumant Mulgaonkar, like Nani Palkiwala, like Darbari Seth. So, creating icons, creating narratives, paying homage to some of them, this is the way families are raised. अरे बेटा वहां पे भास्कर चाचा से बात करो इस बात की, उनको इसका अनुभव है. भास्कर चाचा क्या होता है? Why Bhaskar Chacha? Certain things start to fall into place. Right. Next time you want to do something, you say, Bhaskar Chacha se baat karenge. So rituals and narratives and icons are very important parts of cultures.
Yeah, and I think...
Chala, I've told you far more than perhaps you asked for.
No. But loved every minute of it, Gopal. And I think there's just... and we can go on and on and on. And wealth of knowledge that you have, we can absolutely continue having this conversation. But I wanted to bring this to a closure as well. Gopal, thank you so much for your time and for sharing all the wisdom and the anecdotes. It was lovely to be in conversation with you. And to all our listeners, and I'm sure they'll get immense amount of value listening to this. So thank you again for being with us, and wishing you all the best and all the success in your future endeavors. Thank you.